What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, the man Welding, and I got a special delivery yesterday. Let's check it out, see what it is. Some Infinity Cube pre-cut pieces from weldmetalsonline.com. all right? The other welding instructor in the district where I work, apparently he's had these sitting around in his shop for years. They never touched them and they're not gonna use them, so he brought them to me. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna cut those open, I'm gonna check them out, and I'm gonna weld one up. Should be cool, man. So let's get it. So I'm not entirely sure. I got a bunch of these bags. They got different size parts in them. There's no directions, or I'm not really sure how many of these bags I'm gonna have to cut open to make one Infinity Cube. So I guess I'll just start tearing into them and see what I can come up with. I open up the package and I'm checking out the material that comes in there, and it looks like it's 1/16 inch thick, standard mild steel square tube, 1.5 inches. In the last video I filmed, you guys, I was using a number 8 cup with a gas lens and an 1/8 inch tungsten. Now, what kind of YouTube welder would I be if I didn't break out the Furic, either the FUPA or the BBW for this type of project? All right, I'll probably go ahead and run with a FUPA 12. My options are between 1/16 mild steel or 035 stainless steel. Now, in a perfect world, if I had everything I wanted at my disposal, I would probably use 045 diameter filler rod for this project, but I don't have 045. I'll probably try a little bit of each of these and see which one's better. All right, so I got my torch set up. I got a few pieces here, but when I'm running steel TIG, I'm almost never gonna wanna use a foot pedal. When I first broke into the aerospace industry, was my first time really welding a lot of stainless, and there it was a lot of thin stainless sheet metal, and I was still into like using the foot pedal when I was there because everything was done on a purge fixture, you know, a big old aluminum chill block with argon on the backside. So you could kind of get away with murder. But then as I got into other industries where we welded stainless on a much larger, less controlled scale, you know, no one there was using the foot pedal. Everyone was just using a torch switch, an on-off switch, you know, set the amperage and run it. And after working there and doing that long enough, it just got to the point where running steel TIG with a foot pedal feels wrong, and I don't like it. So I'm using a torch switch. I got the machine set at 85 amps, and right now I'm just gonna kind of run some blast tacks, get everything tacked up. I'm not entirely sure how this thing goes together. I'm just winging it, but it'll be fun, all right? So we're gonna go ahead and get it tacked together, and then once we get it assembled in its cube form, we'll go ahead and weld it out. Simple as that, all right? So, and for those of you guys who don't know, when I say blast tack, what that means is, what a blast tack is, it's essentially when you got your corners fit up, just like this, and then you come in with your tungsten with a nice tight fit up, and you just, boom, really quickly, you hit it with a blast of amperage, and it'll fuse those two pieces of metal together, and you don't need to add filler metal or anything like that. So it's a very fast and effective manner of tack welding parts together with TIG. But the main thing that you need to do to be successful when you're blast tacking is make sure you have a good fit up. If there's a gap there, it's not gonna go well. And make sure you're using enough amperage. You wanna use more amperage when you're blast tacking than you would if you were just going to weld that part out. And that's just a general rule of thumb, all right? So I'm gonna try 85 amps, see how that goes, and then I'll adjust if needed. We got all these tacked up, and now, upon further investigation, it looks like I need to weld these on like so. So what I'm gonna do to make my life easy I'm gonna stand this up and I wanna weld it like that so I have good access to these outside corners to tack them up. We're gonna implement what are commonly referred to in the industry as 1, 2, 3 blocks, all right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this measurement and I'm gonna measure from the bottom of this table to the short end of this cut. Looks to be exactly 3.5 inches, which is gonna be very easy to replicate. Now the reason they call these 1, 2, 3 blocks is because they're 1 inch wide by 2 inches by 3 inches, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead, and they have magnets. This particular one is made by Fireball Tools, as is a lot of the stuff I have on this table right here. All right, so I'm gonna put 3 inches. I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna find my 1/2 inch shims. Hey, there they are, 1/2 inch, all right? And I am going to attach the 1/2 inch to the 3 inch for a grand total of 3.5 inches. Now watch what happens. Hey, isn't that pretty freaking handy? All right, guys? So let this be a lesson to everyone out there watching this video that I always tell my students, use the right tool for the job, all right? And for something like this, it's just making my life a lot easier. It's not necessary to do a project like this, but I purchased them and they come in handy, you know? So people always say work smarter, not harder, blah, 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 blah. It is important to work smart, guys. It's important to think about what you're doing and don't just be a scatterbrained spaz, you know? Think about it. But as you can see, we gotta turn it to get that second one on, and our 3.5 inch shim is not gonna work. So what are we gonna do? Break out a tape measure. We're gonna pull a measurement. Appears to be a 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna go over here. Get another 1/2 inch shim. It's a little hot, a little hot. All right. And let's see. Oh, I'm gonna get 2 1/2 inch shims. It's 2's better than 1. All right. I'm gonna stick one. Do it like that. Oh, but look, it doesn't reach. It's not gonna work. So let's do some quick math, guys. You might not know that I got expelled from high school, and I wasn't the best student, and I particularly was not great at math. But throughout the course of my career as a metal fabricator, I've learned that math is very important and it's very cool. So let's do some math, all right? You get our tape measure. We know 3.5 inches plus 1.5 inches plus 1/2 inch. So it's 3.5, 1.5 inches, 1/2 inch. 5.5 inches. So what are we gonna do? All right, I'm gonna come over here. 3 inch. What are these? 4 inch. 5 inch. That's 5.5 inches right there, okay? And we're gonna need to make 2 of these. Okay guys, math is fun. Math is awesome. So it turns out that I may have jumped the gun a little bit, tacking all this stuff together without really knowing how this goes together. So you can see I got 1, 2, 3. This is probably not gonna work. What I need is a small piece to go like that. So I only say that to let you guys in on a little secret. That's why when I'm tacking together mitered joints, I'm typically only going to tack them on the outside corners until I get it exactly how I want it. Because what that allows me to do, guys, is very easily break those tacks or adjust it to square things up. Whereas if you tack the outside and the inside, you're locking that into position, and it's gonna make it a lot more difficult. You're gonna have to break out a grinder if you wanna break it apart. Whereas when you just tack things on the outside corner, you're able to easily just, boom, snap it off, and it's not a big deal. All right. Let's do a progress check. I don't know about you guys, but I am starting to have this creeping suspicion that I have done something incorrectly. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe, I don't know. Like I said, there's no directions. I'm just picking up parts and tacking them together and seeing what happens. And if it's wrong, I'll fix it. And if it's not wrong, then hey, great success. All right, so we got it tacked up, but I'm pretty sure that it's not correct, because when I'm going through my parts over here, I got this little part right here. I didn't use any of these. And if I'm looking at it, it looks kind of like, but that's okay. It'll still be a fun project to weld, and I'll just do the next one better. You guys, it's not that serious. We're just having fun. We're gonna do some welding, all right? So that was fun. We got it tacked up. Now I'm gonna put some more tacks on it, and then I'm gonna weld it out. Let's go. One, two, three, four. Yeah, that's kind of like an infinity cube, huh? It's like abstract infinity cube. I think that's what we're gonna go with. She's abstract, guys. Just finished running all the outside corner joints. I went ahead and used the 1/16 mild steel filler rod, and now I'm just gonna do the flat welds. And I think for that, I'm gonna go ahead and run the 035 stainless wire. I've been playing with some pulse settings. I don't usually weld with pulse, but it's been enjoyable to kind of test it out, try some different things. All right guys, so I settled in using 73 amps, the 035 stainless filler wire, and this is how we're looking. All right, I'm just boom, 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 dabbing it in nice and gentle. Not going for excessive penetration. I obviously want to penetrate because I'm gonna grind these welds off, but you know, really nothing to it. You just gotta watch that puddle. And with these smaller filler wire sizes, like 035 and below specifically, you know, you gotta develop accuracy and control with that filler metal hand, because if it's like kind of like I talked about in some of my beginner TIG welding videos, a lot of beginners, because they haven't developed how to feed rod, they want to hold the rod way back here. If you're using 035, I mean, look at that. It's not rigid enough to sustain that technique. So you really got to kind of choke up on it. And if you're running out of rod, you got to start feeding, all right? So. All right, guys, we just finished up the infinity square, the abstract infinity square. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. All in all, not bad. A pretty fun little project. Talk about a few key points to take away from this video. And that is, number one, when you're fabricating things and you're not entirely sure how they go together, just only tack in strategic places where it'll make your life a lot easier if you need to break it apart. You know, never tack somewhere that you can't get a grinder in there if you need to cut a tack, because you would be surprised how often you got to cut things apart that you tack up, thinking they're right initially, and they end up being wrong. Second of all, we ended up using two different sizes of filler wire. We used 1/16 and we used 035. And honestly, that's a good thing to remember, is that you have to be flexible when you're fabricating. You can't just, you know, it's like that old saying, when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So if you're an independent welder and you're building out your shop, invest your money in like a variety of sizes of different filler rods, because sometimes all you have is like a 332 and it's just too big for what you're trying to do. Now, usually you can make it work in a pinch, but you want to have the right size rod for what you're trying to do. It's really nice to have a gas lens setup. It's nice to have plenty of tungsten. If you noticed, I utilized a vise to prop my arm on, so that's something else. You know, just when you're welding, you got to get comfortable. So, you know, just find a random object that is roughly the right height for where you need to prop your arm at and go ahead and use it, all right? Don't be afraid to just look around the shop and grab what you need in order to make yourself comfortable while you're welding. And if you noticed, I was wearing my air hood, PAPR, positive air pressure respirator. And I was doing that because when I'm grinding all those welds off, I don't want to breathe in all that metal dust, you know what I mean? So if you're going to be doing this long term and you take your career and your health seriously, I would recommend investing in one of those hoods. I bought mine a couple years ago. It cost me roughly about $2,000, and you know, I don't always use it. It is a bit of a pain in the ass to wear all the time, but in certain situations it'll really save your lungs. So I'd recommend doing that. And like I always say, guys, welding is a very serious career, and I think I'm gonna speak on that topic more in depth, but take it seriously. But that doesn't mean you can't have fun and you can't be lighthearted, especially when you're just doing a project. You know, I'm not selling this to anybody. It's just a random project with essentially scrap metal, you know what I mean? So just kick back and have fun and enjoy it, you know? When you're all stressed out, your welds are gonna look like shit, you know? So just chill out and yeah, so there we go, my first infinity square. I'm still not entirely sure if that's exactly what it's supposed to look like. looks close enough. I'm gonna roll with it. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.